G'day again, wonderful listeners. This is episode 29 of Trev's Talk, and I'm your host, Trev. Last week, I spoke about the absolutely awful situation of the Palestinian people in Gaza, and that I had been invited to an event where I could meet with Senator Fatima Payman and get her, or her husband Jacob, to get me an introduction to a leading Muslim imam here in West Australia. Well, I was fortunate in that my stepdaughter Colleen and her husband James picked me up and drove me to the Senator's event, as they had been invited also. When we arrived at the event's venue, I was almost immediately face to face with Fatima, the Senator, and she started chatting to me straight away. I was blown away by the suddenness of it. Out of all the people there, and me only just arriving, and getting an audience with Fatima one-on-one straight away, let me tell you, I was a bit gobsmacked and started babbling away about the scholarship project I was embarking on. However, it worked out all right, as she was very receptive to the project's concept and gave me the impression that she would help if she could. My idea of getting Fatima to introduce me to the leading Muslim imam in WA was to get a friendly intro to him, instead of trying to meet him direct. A friendly type intro gives one a good start to an interview. It sort of breaks the ice. Whereas diving in direct, without a friendly word from a middle person, gives a colder beginning to the interview. It is much better to have a warm start than a cold one. When I approached Fatima to introduce me to the imam, I was thinking she knew him. He was a Muslim like her, and she would have known him. But when Fatima was chatting with me, I realised she did not know him. So now I am wondering whether she can get me an intro at all. So now I'm in a wait position, and left wondering whether I will hear from her or her hubby Jacob, or should I try some other way to get an intro to the leading imam. The most talk among people at Senator Fatima's event was about the Palestinians' plight in Gaza. My knowledge regarding Israel and Palestine is poor. I've never really taken much notice of what happens in the Middle East. There always seems to be fighting or war going on between nations there. But this one-sided Gaza war, dominating the press for month after month, with truly shocking pictures of wounded, dead or starving children, has horrified me and made me take notice. I've even tried to learn what some words mean, unfamiliar words like Zionist and genocide. They are not words I've heard a lot here in Australia until these last few months. Learning the meaning of those words is a sickening experience when attached to the absolutely awful happenings in Gaza. Apart from truly shocking pictures of starving children on the TV, I was drawn in to take serious notice of Gaza by the fairly recent attempt of my hero, Greta Thunberg, trying to get food and water into the starving children there. I am not at all surprised by Greta taking some time off from climate change advocacy to attempt getting food to starving kids, only to be stopped dead in international waters by Israel's Defence Force. Although Greta was stopped, she has still been successful in publicising the horrors being thrust upon the Palestinian people. Our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, has been slow to speak up for the Palestinian people being starved into submission, but now just recently I've seen his comments becoming more condemning, and it's about time. The whole world should be loudly condemning the anti-humanitarian actions taking place in Gaza and other places inhabited by the Palestinian people. It worries me that only words seem to be offered to help the Palestinians. Surely there are some actions that countries can take to stop the anti-humanitarian atrocities in Gaza. A welcome bonus when I attended Senator Fatima's event last Saturday was getting introduced to a man called Damien, who is a web designer. He lives in the Perth area and can be available for meetings face-to-face instead of being just a mystery man on the internet. My experiences with faceless people on the internet when trying to set up websites has been abysmal. I set up my original website through a company doing websites through internet meetings and have been very disappointed. Dealing with them quickly became a case of me having to pay extra money over and above what they advertised, as they claimed my website requirements were more than what they allowed for. But once you've started doing a website with them, you can't stop halfway. You have to agree to spend the extra money they want, or you have only half a website. That's why I will only deal with a face-to-face web designer from now on. I've had special dreams in the past telling me that I will be selling religious items sometimes in the future. When this comes true, I will need a web designer, and my new acquaintance, Damien, will come in handy. I would love to be an agent for Medjugorje artists who produce personal artworks. I am Facebook friends with one such artist, and he produces amazing works. I'm sure lots of people would love to get their hands on them. I am very happy to do anything that promotes Medjugorje. The whole world desperately needs to know of the Medjugorje phenomenon. The people suffering genocide at Gaza especially, they need to pray, 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 like Our Lady says, for peace to come. Another thing that worries me is whether it is true that the gas industry claims that the Northwest Scott Reef gas field needs to be developed because Australia is running out of gas. So I decided to ask Boris, my AI assistant, is Australia really facing a gas shortage? And here is what it says. That's a sharp question, Trevor, and the short answer is not necessarily. Woodside's push to open the Scott Reef gas field, part of its 30 billion Browse project, is framed as essential for long-term energy supply, especially to feed its Northwest Shelf facility until 2070. But the claim that Australia is running out of gas is hotly contested. Point 1. Western Australia has a domestic gas reservation policy requiring 15% of LNG to be set aside for local use, yet many producers are reportedly reserving only 8%. Point 2. Experts argue that enforcing existing policies would be more effective than opening new fields under fragile ecosystems. Point 3. Most of the gas from Scott Reef would be exported overseas, not used domestically. And the Australia Institute has emailed a report on exporting overseas. It says, How to Build a Gas Empire. This report exposes how Japan and South Korea have built a gas empire across Australia and the Asia-Pacific region to pursue corporate profits. It reveals how Japanese and South Korean public finance props up the gas empire, costs Australians, delays Southeast Asia's transition to renewable energy, and drives artificial demand to fuel gas expansion in our region. Japan and South Korea benefit from on-selling much of our gas. There is a lot more from the Australia Institute, but it is saying the gas industry is not telling the truth when it claims Australia is running out of gas. That claim is fostering fear of a non-existent shortage. The gas industry wants more gas to export and make more profits, which Australia does not get a fair share of. We, the people, should be getting much more benefit from our gas, not corporates. Well, wonderful listeners, that's it for this week. Thanks for your company, and please join me again next week. Don't forget to subscribe if you've not already done so. Like, share and comment on YouTube and on Spotify if you're on that platform. This is Trev, tuning out.